Okay. So we're in the middle of chapter 16, which is the trait, just the explanation, our introduction to the trait of Taharah. Okay. So again, just recap. He told us that Taharah is tikkun haleva machshava. It's completion of perfecting of one's lave, right? And it had two parts to it. There was a part in terms of actions that are physical actions, gufonius, right? Bodily actions, things that you have to take from olam hazeh. So meaning, even though you're over here, we're post prishus, right? We already separated ourselves from the world as much as we could, and we only take from the world whatever is absolutely necessary for our survival, for our existence, right? But still, in all, we have to misakin it completely in our heart. How do we misakin completely in our heart? By reminding ourselves that the reason why I'm drinking this coffee right now is not because I really enjoy coffee, but it's because I wanted to keep me awake so I could learn better. So then, even the physical thing that I'm ingesting from the world, I'm still being misakin it, and I'm doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This way, what happens as a result? This way, because every physical action is closer to the Yetzer Hara, so therefore, by redirecting it towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm distancing myself or distancing that action away from the Yetzer Hara. That's one type of Taharah. The second type of Taharah is Taharah in Ma'aseh HaMitzvahs, right? Taharah in Ma'aseh HaMitzvahs. What's Taharah in Ma'aseh HaMitzvahs? Is that that it has to be totally for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Completely Lishma, right? So even though there are many levels of Shaloi Lishma, there's the level of Shaloi Lishma that's completely, discarded. There's a level of Lishma, of Shaloi Lishma that's like in between. Like that's the example of the daughter of Chanya Betrajan, that she was walking in a certain sneeze way, and somebody praised her, and as a result of the praise, she tried even harder to do that. So you see, it's like a very tiny element of what's the word of ulterior motive, right? And it wasn't even an ulterior motive. It was like post factum, but that in itself made that avoida, that maisa, imperfect, right? And fine, and that's what he's saying. He's saying that just like on the mizbeach of the Beis Hamikdash, you take only the purest flour. So too on the altar of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shemayim, only the most pure avoida should go up. Again, now he continues. So we saw this already. So we left off. We have some unfinished business. Now we just remind ourselves we have some unfinished business. We should go into Shaloi Lishma, exactly all the different levels of Shaloi Lishma and the different shitas of the Rishonim, just to see where Ramchal fits into that picture. So that we still have that's our unfinished business. But meanwhile, we're just going to continue. So v'eineni hoimer shemashu huzul hazeh yeh nidche legamri. And I'm not saying, says the Ramchal, that whatever is missing this level of lishma is going to be nidche legamri, is going to be completely pushed away, right? K'arei Kadosh Baruch Hu eino mekapeach schar kol birya. That Kadosh Baruch Hu does not neglect any reward for any creature, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu pays the reward of actions whatever they deserve, right? So even if a person's avodah is imperfect, right, that doesn't mean that Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to discard it, right? Even though he just finished saying that on the altar of the Mizbeach you should put only the purest of avodah. He says no, but still Kodesh Baruch Hu is a fair judge, and you're going to give whatever you deserve. Amnam. I'm speaking from the perspective of a perfect avodah, pure avodah, haru'uya, which is appropriate, which is proper, l'kol oihavei Hashem be'emes, to those that truly love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Again, it's a love. Over here, we're switching from yira, which is the first part of the sefer, so to speak, to more like ahava. Right? If you want to love, and he's going to illustrate that in a second. But if you want to show your love, it has to be the purer, the better. The purer, the better. Okay. Again, we saw how in the introduction, he said that if your avodah is imperfect, right, it's going to be nimesis, it's going to be discarded, right? So we had that stira, we had that contradiction. How come over here he says it's not discarded, and over there he says it is discarded? So the way the answer that we said, it depends. There are levels, right? There are levels. There's a level of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects from you. If he expects from you a certain level, you beneath that level, then, right? And then there is this level, which is more like a higher level. Okay, but it probably has to do with also this lishma, mitach shelo lishma bo lishma sugi and all of that stuff. Okay, but moving on for now. Right? Shelo yikore bezeh Hashem ela ha'avodah ha'tahira legamri. Right? So this appellation is only appropriate for truly pure avodah, completely pure avodah. Meaning, right? Avodah tamima can only be called something that's really tamima. That the kivun, right, the direction is totally towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu and nothing else. Right, the focus is on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ukefi harbois rechukoi ken yarbirich echisoran bo, and the proportion that he's distancing himself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, from his focus on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that would also create the deficiency in the avodah. Hu mash David HaMelech alav hashalom oimer mi li b'shamayim, who is for me in shamayim ve'imcho lo chafatzti ba'aretz. And with you I wish for nothing else on earth. Meaning he's saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when I consider you, nothing else on earth is of interest to me. Okay? And that's going to be a key point, right? Key point. Again, we're talking about focusing on love, right? And, okay, well, let's see. He's going to spell it out now. V'omer k'mor kein tzruf for imrosecha ma'oid v'avdecha aheva. Your word is trufa, right? Is completely refined, and your servant v'avdecha aheva loves it, right? So trufa is the kind of refinement that we're talking about with the word trufa. Trufa means like a metal that's like what's the word, melted in order to remove any imperfection, right? So ki be'emes ha'avodah ha'amitis, true avodah tzricha li trufa harbe yosem min hazov min hakesef. True avodah has to be refined more than gold and silver. V'hu ma shenemar al ha'torah. Right, and so with regards to Torah, we say Imros Hashem Imoros Taharah. The words of Hashem are pure words. Kesef Tzuruf, it's like refined silver. Ba'alil La'oretz, clear to Ba'alil means like in full clarity to the world. Right, I lost the place. Mezukak Shavasayim. Right, Mezukak again, in other words, for purification. Purified sevenfold. Okay, so what does that mean? That's an interesting. Again, Imros Hashem Imoros Taharah. Okay. So I'm just thinking now. I think I always understood this phrase that Hashem's meaning he's understanding this word is referring to the oived, right? Even though it says the words of Hashem are pure words, right? And they're purified, right? He's understanding these words to refer to the person who is learning the words, right? Because we're talking about an Oved Hashem, that in order to reach pure avoid, you have to purify it completely. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he sticks this in. Which is why it says with regards to Torah that it's totally purified. What are you bringing this in for? So over here on the bottom they say that since we know that, so this is from Echaskel Sarna, they bring over here, that on the bottom, that since we know, since the Pasuk tells us that the Torah is so pure and so purified and so refined, so certainly the person who wants to, fulfill it, must also have the same refinement. Okay? That's why he brings it.
Prerequisite?
Not just a prerequisite, but just since we know that the Torah is pure refinement, so if you want to fulfill it, you got to be on that same level as to fulfill it. Okay, fine. Therefore, somebody who serves Hashem truthfully, lo yistapek b'zeh b'mu'at. Okay, he's not going to be satisfied with just the minimum. And he's not going to be pacified with taking just mixed in silver. Which means a service that is imperfect, right? Because it has other mixtures in it. But rather he'll take the most pure and the most clearest. Then he will be called as somebody who does mitzvah as it is intended. Oh, so that's really why he makes the two connection. And now he just made the connection, right? Since the Torah has a mitzvah, right, and we know the mitzvah is purified in its highest purity, right. And then we have this Oved Hashem, the servant of Hashem, who wants to reach that purification. So if you want to fulfill Torah K'maimara, you have to reach the same level of purity that the Torah has.
Makes sense.
Shalom Omru Zechranim Levracha Kol Oisim Mitzvah K'maimara. Somebody who fulfills the mitzvah K'maimara, Ein Mevasin Oisoy B'Soyreis Rois. He will not be told bad news, right? He will not be told bad news. Okay, so V'chein Omru Zechranim Levracha Asay Dvorim L'Shem Pa'olam. Do things for the sake of the one who makes them, v'daber bahem lishmon, and speak in them for their sake. Okay, v'hu mashboicherim oisom, and this is what those. Let me read it again. V'hu mashboicherim oisom shehem ovda Hashem b'leiv sholim, and this is what those that serve Hashem with full heart select for themselves. Kimi shelo nizdabek imo yisborach be'ava amitis. So for somebody who has not attached himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with true love, Tzeiruf ha'avoida hazois, this purification of service, will be a great burden for him. Ulemasa godol, and a great weight. He's going to say, how could somebody, reach this level? It's too much. It's too complicated. You have to constantly reevaluate and reevaluate and reevaluate. It's too much. Listen, we're physical beings. Yulude Isha, right? Born of a woman, whatever that means. It's not possible for us to reach such level of purification. Amnam, however, Hashem, but people who really love Hashem, and they desire His service. Hine sameach libam, just the opposite. Their heart rejoices leharois emunas ahavosim lefonav, to show how faithful is their love before Him. Just the opposite. They want to, push themselves beyond the limits of this purification, with Taharosim and this purity. Right? So meaning again, think about somebody who falls in love, right? And just initially, and he's on that high of that initial, love sickness or whatever it is, right? So he wants to show, his love. He goes to the store and he buys her that greatest present that he could possibly buy, He doesn't say to himself, oh my God, I'm spending another $1,000 to buy this piece of jewelry for her. He just the opposite. He thinks, like now she's going to really see how much I love her, right? Because he's still on that high, right? So again, so somebody who really loves the Kodesh Baruch Hu, right? Again, this is that Oived Hashem, that really is filled with that love. So the more challenging, so to speak, the purification process, the more enjoyment he gets out of it, because this is a way for him to show that love. Right? Again, it's a change of perspective, and it might be slight, but it's a change of perspective that completely redefines the avoida. This is the conclusion of that pasuk that David says, and your servant loves it, meaning that's the level of David HaMelech, that the love for purification. He enjoyed it. Okay, so good.
It's like a step removed, right? Love. Okay.
That what?
No, he's saying he's not loving the process, he's loving the idea of loving.
No, it's, I don't know. And your words is truly truthful, truly purifying, and your servant loves it. So, right, that's part of the love. Fine. V'hinei, this is very interesting again. Hinei be'emes zehu hamivchan. This is the test. Sheboi nivchonim, this that separates. V'nivdolim, separates. Oiv de Hashem atzmom. Miv madrigosam. The various levels of servants of Hashem. This is the thing, right? What makes, right, again, think about it, any tzaddik, Godel Yisroel, he has the same 613 mitzvahs that I have. Mm-hmm. So what makes him a Godel and a tzaddik and a whatever, and me just a regular Joe Schmo, right? I put on tefillin, he puts on tefillin, right? I learn Taharah, he learns Taharah. I mean, I do chesed, he does chesed. What's the difference? Right? So says the Ramchal, this is the difference. If you want to know what's the quality that ranks tzaddikim in Shamayim, so to speak, or Ovdei Hashem, this is the quality. Again, I'm assuming, what does that mean? We're talking about, sorry, somebody already has the same resources, right? He already learned Taharah Kula, and I already learned Taharah Kula. And he's doing his best to serve Hashem, and I'm doing his best to serve Hashem. Now, what's the difference? Okay, we're not talking about me and whoever the Yisroel Yisrael today is, because he learned Kol HaTorah Kula, and I learned 1.7% of something or other, right? So that's not even a comparison. But we're not even in the same ballpark. But assuming we're in the same ballpark, then the difference would be the following: that what? Somebody who knows how to purify his heart more, he's the one that comes closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he's more beloved, therefore, to Hashem. And this is the quality of the Rishonim, of the original tzaddikim. Asher govru v'nitzchu b'davar hazeh, that they fought, and they were victorious in this matter. Ha'avos, the forefathers of Shar HaRoyim and other shepherds, Asher tiharu libum lifonam, they purified their heart before Kodesh Baruch Hu. All right, which I wanted to speak out before is that, right, that he says Oisa mitzvah kamamar. Just remember that, I forgot. Right, I mentioned when we were talking before Rosh Hashanah that the Rambam's shita, right, that one mitzvah done totally for pure motives, without any ulterior motives, is the mitzvah that gets you into Olam Haba, according to the Rambam, right? Okay, so I'm saying, so it's a little better, kind of, with Ramchal's perspective on it, right? Meaning, this is the greatest challenge that a person has, that in order to purify his heart. Right, there's levels and levels and levels until you remove all of the ulterior motives. Okay. And so if you hit that level of Oisa Mitzvah Kamamara, because the Torah, as I said, Tzrufa and Shavasayim, right, it's completely purified. So that's when he reaches that Madrega. So if you get one mitzvah to do that, then you're already, you hit the mark. Okay, fine.
Right, that mitzvah has to be he has to keep in mind that he's doing just to
Right, which is also makes it harder, because if you're telling me that this is my mitzvah that's going to get me into Elam Haba, then all of a sudden I just defeated the whole purpose. Right, I just defeated the whole purpose. Okay,
I'm just trying to visualize how that could be achieved.
All right. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, again, well, he'll speak it out later, because in truth, if a person has that connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he's going to speak this out later, but Derech Kniyas, again, remember, going back to the mashal that he gives, with somebody who is completely heads over heels in love with a woman, right? So everything else becomes meaningless, right? Everything else becomes meaningless. Like, I don't care about anything else, right? So that's what he's talking about. He's talking about, so at that point, why I want to do this mitzvah to please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's it. Nothing else matters to me at that point. So when a person reaches that madrega of ahava, so that's his clinging, that's his dveikus, right? Okay, let's see. Who much David mazhir as Shlomo benoi. This is what David HaMelech warns his son. Ki kol levavos doirish Hashem, that Hashem Darsh explores all hearts. We call Yetzim Achshavos Mevin. And all the desires of thoughts he understands. God desires the heart. It's not enough for just the actions themselves. You must mitzvah, that you do what is commanded. That the main thing is that the heart has to be purified to concentrate on true avodah. The heart is the king of all parts of the body, and he is master over them. If he doesn't bring himself towards avodas Hashem, so then the other Evorim is also nothing. Again, he just now comes back to this nothing business. What does that mean? Oh, 1 second. Well, let's finish that. Let's see the line. Why? Ki ela sher yiyashama ruach halev lelechas yelechu, because the organs of the body are defined by the direction of the heart. My heart, my son, give your heart over to me. So I'm not sure why he concludes on that note, that it's nothing.
Spirit,
I don't fully understand what he wants with this last statement. I mean, again, we're talking about, right? Again, I'm just saying it, right? We're talking about, right? Let's go back to the daughter of Rabbi Chanina ben Trajan, right? She's walking in a tznius way, totally l'shem Hashem, right? And somebody says, how beautiful how beautiful is her gait, and she improves even better, and she is even more, okay? So we see that her heart now became tainted, okay? Did her actions become nothing because her heart became tainted? That's very hard to hear. Her actions are still her actions, like you said. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mekapeach schar be'er. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not neglect any schar. So her actions are not nothing.
like no actions intent is a very meaningful part of the action.
Okay, so he could have said that, but he doesn't say. That. What meaning? Why does he need this whole business with the king? The lave is the king of the actions, and the king of the body. Okay, you just told us why avodas Hashem Tmima is so important, right? Why does he need to bring it back to the Eivorim? Why does he need to bring it back to the Eivorim, right? Just speak about the heart. The heart is imperfect. He wants to say that somehow the taint of the heart somehow defines the nature of the action as well, right? Now, again, over here, the way they understand it here is that, I'm going to read over here the commentary. It comes as, similarly, an action performed with feeling of the heart is meaningful, but one done mechanically or with an ulterior motive lacks value.
It's not meaningless, right? It still lacks value.
Now, but they can, if you're, again, going back to what we said from the previous class, from the introduction, when he introduced that pasuk, what does Hashem want from you? There were 5 things, right? There were 5 things in the thing. In the pasuk, there was yira, there was ahava, there was shleimus alev, and there was hahalicha b'drachav. Right. So again, it was yira, halicha b'drachav, fixing basically the midas, ahavas Hashem, fixing the heart, and then shmiras kol mitzvahs. Those are the 5 things. So what he said by Shleimus Alev, he first talks about what is Shleimus Alev, that you have to have Taharah Kavana, you have to have purity of intent. What does that mean? You have to be only interested for the goal of service, and not for any other intent. But then he said, included in this, that your heart has to be completely devoted to the service. Not by somebody who sits on 2 chairs, so to speak, or somebody who does service out of habit. But your heart has to be completely dedicated, right? So, did we talk about dedicated heart in Taharah? Did we talk about dedicated heart? No. We talked about towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu or away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Did he speak about, meaning what's our, like, again, this is something that the Boda brought up last time from the recording, that, right, our problem with Avodah is not that we have ulterior motives. Our problem is that we just do it like robots. Right?
So sometimes we don't do it at all, but the times that we do
it. It's habitual, right? So that's also, so he includes over here in the introduction that part of Shleimus Halev is breaking away from being a robot and doing it with full intent, right? Now, which is what they're saying over here. They're saying is that since the heart is the king of the Eivorim, so if the heart is not fully dedicated, so then the Ivarim are not fully dedicated. That I could hear. But that's not what he's been talking about till now. He's been focusing on your intent is towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu or towards your honor. Which one is it? Is it Hashem's honors or your honor? So if your heart is a little bit towards your honor, does that mean that you're Ivarim? Like, I don't see it. I don't see how you're the Ivarim. If it's away from Hashem, maybe. Meaning, I don't want to give bad marshal, but let's say a guy, again, going back to our jewelry business, right, with the beloved, right?
Yeah.
If a guy brings her jewelry without spelling it out, with ulterior motives in mind, right? He wants to get something in return, right? So that taints the action,
of course.
because you didn't bring this because you love
You did it for
me.
yourself.
You brought this because, right? So it redefines the action. Redefines the action.
The focus
So that's
you want something, so I'm doing this for myself because I want something done for me.
Right, exactly. So I think that's probably that's what they mean over here, and that's what he means over here. That if your heart is tainted, so then technically, I see you running to shul. You're not running to shul because at the end of the day, maybe it's not because you love, it's because whatever your ulterior motive is. They're going to say, what a tzaddik. Or you're going to tell yourself, I'm such a tzaddik because look at me running to shul. Right? So in other words, that's the tziruf, right? So the tziruf of the heart actually helps purify the action, because the action becomes suspect if the heart is not pure. Okay, all right, let's start. Let's start anyways. Okay, so that's the end of Parak Yud Tezayin. Okay, let's see. B'derech kniyas Taharah. Now he talks about how do you acquire Taharah? Okay, how do you acquire this purification? Remember, how many purifications do we have? We have 2, possibly 3.
Right.
One is purifying the physical actions, that they should be also for the sake of heaven. The other one is purifying mitzvah actions, that they should be completely devoted to God. And possibly this third option of, completely having your heart completely be in it. In other words, not out of habit, right? Destroying the habit part of it, right? So how do you acquire this? So there's probably, for each type of purification, there has to be a different way to get it. Yeah? So let's see. Now it's very interesting what he says here. He says that this Mida is easily acquired by somebody who already acquired all of the previous Midas. Okay, why is it easier? Let's see. Because when a person contemplates and understands the lowliness and the cheapness of the pleasures of this world and the benefits that he gets from it, like I wrote above, he will be disgusted by them, and he's not going to value them, but rather as negatives, and as deficiencies of ateva, of nature, that's dark and vulgar. Okay, so what he's saying is that how did we get to Prishus? The way we got to Prishus is by contemplating about the lowliness and the cheapness of the physical world. So if you already were able to reach Prishus by understanding the lowliness of that physical world, so since he already internalized that idea, so then it should be easier for him to even the stuff that he considers echreichi, the stuff that he considers obligatory, that he needs for his sustenance and survival. So even that part, he doesn't really want it. He needs to take it. He doesn't really want it. So it should be easy for him to say, no, the reason why I'm taking it is because it's l'shem Hashem. It's because it's for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I could do the avodah. Therefore, so therefore, the more he internalizes, the more he thinks deeper and deeper about that idea of the negative nature and the lowly nature of the physical gashmias, so it will be easier for him to purify his thoughts, v'liba, in his heart. They should not turn towards the Yetzer Klal, from in any of his actions. But rather he will be just exactly what it is. I'm forced to take this. I'm forced to eat. I'm forced to do these things. All right, let's stop over here, and we'll pick it up again, I guess, from there.